In Lesson 8.1, you'll be solving equations with rational coefficients, and you'll be able to solve equations using the division property of equality, and you'll be able to solve equations using the multiplication property of equality. You have a couple of vocabulary words for Lesson 8.1, solution, inverse operations, and equivalent equations. Go ahead and write down those definitions on your note sheet and pay particular attention to the key concept here. You have a couple of areas that you need to fill in on your note sheet. For any numbers a, b, and c, if a equals b, then if you multiply both sides by c, then you have ca equals cb. Also, for any numbers a, b, and c where c is not equal to 0, if you have a is equal to b, let's say for instance 2 is equal to 2, then if you take that same a and b value and divide by c, you're going to get the same answer. So it's the division property of equality and the multiplication property of equality. You can multiply or divide by any number you want as long as you do it to both sides of the equal sign. And that's going to help us out when we're solving equations. So on the page 325, we have the Got It section for number 1. The equation's already typed out on your note sheet, so all I expect you to do is show your work. So in 1A through 1D, you want to show your work like I'm doing right here on the note sheet. If you're solving for x, you're isolating the variable, then you want to divide both sides by the coefficient there, because 5.6 divided by 5.6 leaves you with 1x. So you're going to divide both sides by 5.6. I'll show the answers here in just a second. For 1b, if you want to isolate the y, you're going to divide both sides by negative 20.9. Divide by negative 20.9. In 1c, if you want to isolate the a, you're going to divide by negative 13.6. A lot of times kids will put down plus 13.6, and that is not the right answer. What's happening between the negative 13.6 and the a, it's being multiplied. So the opposite operation, or the inverse operation, would be to divide by negative 13.6. Divide by negative 13.6. And finally on D, to isolate the z, we are going to divide by negative 13.2. Divide by negative 13.2. All of your work should be shown on those problems, and then of course the final answers. Negative 3.5 for A, and actually it should be x equals negative 3.5 and y equals 12 and a equals negative 16 and z equals negative 24.5. Okay, let's go on down to example 2, where we have a story problem, and we're going to translate that into a equation. It says, state camping permit for New Mexico State cost $180. If the total income from the camping permits is $82,080, write and solve an equation to find how many permits. There's our x value or our p value, or whatever variable you want to use. So we're going to say the number of permits, p, times $180 per permit is equal to the total $8,200, $8,280. Okay, so if we divide both sides by 180, we are able to isolate the variable p and find out how many permits were sold. So we get a total of 46 permits. Okay, so you need two things here on example 2. 180p equals 8,280, and then the answer 46 permits. Moving on to page 326, you have some more equations where we're going to be multiplying by the reciprocal in this case so that we can isolate the variable. So in 3a, we have a variable of x, and we need to get rid of this negative 1/2. A very common mistake would be to add 1/2 x to both sides, but that's not the case. What's happening between negative 1/2 and the x is multiplication. So we're going to divide by negative 1/2. Okay, and really I don't like to show my work that way. I'm going to go off here to the side and show you how I do like to show my work. 7 equals negative 1/2 x. So what I do is I put the 2 over 1 so that I can cancel out the 2's and cancel out the 1's. And I'm left with x, okay, as long as I multiply by negative 2 over 1 on this side. X equals negative 14. Let me show you that one again with 3b. So I'm trying to isolate the variable m. To get rid of multiplying by 6/7, we divide by 6/7, but I'm not going to show it like this. I'm not going to say 6/7 divided by 6/7. That doesn't really help me see that I'm crossing it out. So what I do is I put a 7 over 6 there. What happens to the 7's and the 6's? Well, they cancel out. So I've isolated my variable m, but I need to remember to multiply by 7 over 6 on the right side. So I can do a little canceling here, 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2. Don't forget that the little negative there. We have m equals 1/4. Okay, this still might be not 100% clear to you, but that's what the point of this lesson is to get you really good at solving one-step equations. Isolate the variable. If you need to circle that variable to help you out, go for it. I need to get rid of 1/3 by dividing by 1/3. But dividing by 1/3 is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal, 3 over 1. What happens is those 3's and those 1's cancel out, leaving that variable all alone, as long as we multiply by 3 over 1 on the left side. 3 times negative 9 is negative 27, and that is equal to n. 3d, I'm trying to isolate that y, so I'm going to multiply by 7 over 2 so that the 7 and the 2's cancel out. As long as I multiply by 7 over 2 on the left, I get negative 7/8. And it really doesn't matter if it's negative 7 over 8 or 7 over negative 8 or just negative 7/8. All of those are equivalent. Okay, the only thing it's not equivalent to is negative 7 over negative 8, because then that would turn into a positive. So on the last one there, 3d, negative 7/8 equals y. Okay, make sure that you do your homework and check your answers, making sure that you're showing those steps. It's really easy to miss negatives. It's really easy to forget to do the reciprocal. There's lots of places for error, so please make sure and double check your work and let me know if you need additional help.